the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hello, I'm Larry.
I am Austin. Charlie.
And I'm Josh. Charlie, those look delicious.
I will be the giver and handle
It's very generous of you. Speaking of which, Charlie, he shared a pretty fitting pun, and we are going over
I like my puns with butter.
The Giver by Lois Lowry today, which is something that Charlie and I actually did a team project on for young adult literature.
I remember that.
Which it just so happened that it was right when we were planning the very first season, and a lot of the people that, everybody that was in our group was on the pilot episode.
Yeah, no, I remember
which
that.
pilot episode was wrote not taken, but
Yes.
it was a fun project. Already, the discussion starter for this one is: The Giver has become a renowned novel that can frequently be found in high school curriculums across America, and probably beyond. Do you see signs of this dystopian in today's world, and if so, which examples, and how do you feel these warnings can be followed?
I'm just going to flat out say, you turn on the TV, and then you see it right there in front of you. I don't watch TV. I'm not a TV person. I haven't been a TV person for the past so many odd years. I just literally unplugged it.
You need
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing there's a big crisis going on with drugs. And I mean, it's been bad since, the beginning of time, but it's getting worse and worse. I mean, it may not pertain to what we're talking about now, but I'm just saying, you turn on the TV and you see this, that, and the other thing, but you see maybe one good story, like, oh, a dog saved the day, and it's something like that. I'm not trying to crash or bash anyone who's, on TV. I'm just saying, you turn on the TV and it's like,
I don't think it's just TV though, Charlie.
oh, no, it's not just
I
TV.
think the key
in general.
The key word that you got to look at is sameness, because the issue with the general population is that there are so many people that want to be, they're envious of other people, but yet they want to be special.
Well, I'm special, and I haven't met this guy Ed.
Ed? You mean
Special Ed.
Yeah. I'll just flat out say it.
But
Funny clue.
the issue we have is people, they're envious of one another in the way that
and I'm not saying
they
everybody.
feel, but there's this whole idea of wanting to have what the other person has.
And, and I don't mean that, I don't ever mean something like that in a condescending way. I don't mean anything like that in a demeaning way. I'll never mean it in that fashion, but it's, you go on Facebook or whatnot, and just, my Gmail account.
I think social media does create, people become, they get the sense of jealousy when they see that their friend is on a vacation.
Right.
And it distracts them.
When I see one of my friends on vacation, I say, oh, have a good time. Come back, make sure you're safe. Bring enough sunscreen or whatnot.
Well, this theme of envy, I'm not really sure where it comes from with this story. I didn't see much of that.
When the story begins, they're already in the dystopia.
Right.
And this sense of sameness, everybody needed to look like the other person.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So now everybody looks the same. Everybody, and there's
School uniforms. Back in the day,
that the fact that people fight with one another, or people say that someone is dressed too suggestively, someone has some shirt with a suggestive message,
Right.
or someone is jealous that the other person has something cleaner, nicer.
Yeah, back in the back in that time period, the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, and by the 60s it was starting to waver a little bit with the rebellion, rock and roll, yay, drums, thank God that was going to go flying. you had school uniforms. You had no choice. Men went to school with either a black or gray jacket with a tie, white shirt, black dress shoes. I'm digressing, but I don't want to. But.
Some places, it was on, especially in Catholic schools.
Yeah, that too,
But how it connects to this is, in this world, nobody has any say on anything.
Exactly.
Because, Ron,
I was going to say, I think that, so the first time I read this book was actually talking about curriculums. I read it in middle school, 7th grade, and I kind of hated it. And then by the time I finished reading, I realized I think it was my reaction to the world that I was reading. It wasn't necessarily that I hated the book. It was just that I was like, I hate this, why would people do this is stupid. So now I have a different feeling about the book, but I'm still in a world of like, I see benefits to it. I'm not, not benefits to this world. I mean, I see good things with the book and I see some negative things. But I think one of the takeaways I get is that the book it's all about sameness, and it's about, trying to squash difference as much as we can in this misguided belief that if everyone's the same and we all have this one type of equality that the people in this dystopia are looking at, that we'll be off in a better world. And I think that is like kind of a sign to people who are sometimes misguided about like how we can make the world a better place. And sometimes people think that means that we have to all be the same. And I think that there's different types of equalities that need to be looked at. And I think that, for me, I think like equality of opportunity, of all being able to have the same opportunity and the same chances is important, but completely squashing differences and making everyone's life exactly the same not only makes a worse world off at the end of the day, but also like takes a lot of the beauty out of the world. I mean, you look at, there's no color in this world. It's all black and white. Spoiler alert. But
this is
on this show?
Exactly. But I think that's one of those things that sees that they're literally taking beauty out of the world because they're like, well, we don't want someone to be envious that your hair is this color, or...
Thank God I won't have gray hair.
It's interesting how these kind of, when you're talking about prejudices and counting people out because of an attribute, it's usually a physical one. But...
No wonder they picked me last in gym class.
I think with your equal opportunity, the reader should also be aware that there's a big difference between equal opportunity and equal outcome. Mm-hmm. They're frequently mixed all the time. The opportunity is the resources that you have in order to obtain a positive outcome. A positive outcome is not an entitlement.
Yeah. I think everyone, yeah. And that's the thing with this world, it's trying to equalize what the outcome is and everything. It's that, okay, well, everyone is going to get a job. That's the outcome, but people really don't have a say in what they're going to be doing. They're kind of assigned, this is what you're going to do. And same things with a lot of other things.
It takes choice out of the equation. And that's what kind of is a big part of what separates equality from outcome. If you take choice out of it, then equality of outcome is more guaranteed because everybody has to kind of just follow the path that's set forth for them. And it's through the choices that we make that a lot of times, if in a society, because let's not pretend that equality of opportunity exists in a perfect way, because it doesn't, right? I mean, there's all kinds of imbalances, and people have different opportunities based on different things. But if all things being equal and everybody's starting out at the same point, the only thing that can differ in the outcome would be the choices that you make, and those choices are completely eliminated. There's no choice at all in this society.
I think we begin to realize how things used to be when the giver shares the memories with Jonas by rubbing his hands on his back, which in the movie they decide to transmit it through the rubbing of hands.
Yeah, it would.
But I think there's an authenticity to rubbing his back. I don't think it's creepy in any way. It can be perceived in that way, but I think that in the book, I think that there's really Because it's more about the memories, both good and bad.
That have been maybe, now, this is probably just whim, but in the book, Rubbing the Back, maybe these things are behind this, and the giver is supposed to be a wise man, very learned for his age, whatnot. Maybe I think, because you're rubbing behind the back, would you like some tea and coffee with that, sir? Would you clean, it's probably been put behind him, and he is probably stepping, and he's just said to himself, forget it, I'm done with it, I'm not fight it anymore. Like I said, I'm going out on a whim here, but maybe now in the movie, you're rubbing his hands, it's action. With your hands, usually you're taking action. You can't do that.
Jonas is being assigned that job as a giver.
Yes.
To possess what used to be in society. And it's both the positive and the negative, which in this world, since it's a world of sameness, there is no good and bad.
Right.
It's just neutral.
No, I mean, that just came to me a few moments ago.
Even the idea of having grandparents, when you become too old, you're sent to a home and then you're released, which we don't even, once we get to what happens when you're released, it's very cold and disturbing.
And honestly, it's today, and I'm not saying just today, not 2017, I'm saying through our time, there were, especially, go back to and I'm going back to the beat era. There were times people who seemed, and I'm just quoting, odd or different, and for sake of discussion, and mentally, I don't even want to say it, I'm not going to even go there, because that was a lingo back then. You would just get locked up. You would be institutionalized. And many people have taken great leaps and bounds to say, hey, instead of locking this person up for having maybe a bad temper, let's get them the medical treatment they need. And this is just all general examples.
And I think that you could also see that in the book with when Jonas, sees what his dad does, and this kid is born, doesn't really fit this plan of what this society is going to be.
There were two twins, and one was an ounce heavier than the other.
I can't help it, I'm sorry.
And I think the lighter one, because he was too small, because he was 1 ounce shorter, had to be euthanized.
Yeah. And so you see that similar to what you were just talking about in this world, that it's like, well, if you don't fit the plan that we've created, whatever that is, you're not useful. And that whole idea of useful is kind of interesting to think about too. Like, oh, you have to be, you can't just exist, you have to be useful.
Yeah.
It's funny how humans feel the need to dictate the operation of this world instead of nature, because humans haven't done a very good job these last
thousands of years, shall we just say?
at least
let's just say
maybe 5 figures. I'm trying. I have to.
Yeah.
I can't. But then again, we only started recording history so far back.
And the idea of recording history is something that's also interesting to me with this is, it's so interesting that this world that's like, oh, everyone can't remember what life used to be like, but yet they also were like, yeah, but there is some value to these memories, so someone has to hold on to them. I think that's so interesting, as opposed to looking for a way to just completely eradicate them so no one has them. They're like, well, it would be dangerous to our plan and our society if everybody knew these things, but they're valuable enough that one person needs to keep them. So I think that's one thing that's really interesting to me, because then you see at the end, Jonas gets really upset and he's like, I can't hold on to all these things. He ends up leaving, and then of course one of my biggest questions with this is at the end, what does the ending mean? Does he die? Does he actually escape? What memories go back to everybody?
He changes his name to Nick, and he becomes the Jonas Brothers.
Otherwise,
I'm going to lose my position someday.
Jonas, he brings the baby with him because he wants to prevent that baby from having to go through their
hell.
Distorted dystopia.
Can we just say it? Hell.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Because, this dystopia is...
And I forgive,
pretty...
that's not meant to be offensive, but...
But it's also so interesting because, you know, not to play devil's advocate now, but I will.
I hope that was.
But, you know, that's also Jonas's viewpoint. Like everyone else in the society, they're all just like, well, this is cool. Like life keeps moving on. Of course, it's because they're on all these, you know, medications that keeps all these feelings down and things like that. But it's very interesting that the only person who would have those feelings is, of course, Jonas, because he's the only person who knows what life was like apart from us.
He holds the memories, so he knows what it means to love.
Yeah.
The others don't. They know.
They suppress it.
What it means to be given spouse and children and
Casual admiration, as the one parent said. We appreciate your accomplishments.
We enjoy you.
But God,
Yeah, there's a whole idea, right, where like all their feelings are superficial, I guess, right, where there's not really much to them. And as Jonas discovers like the depth of feeling that humans are capable of, you know, he realizes how superficial the feelings are that the people around him are feeling. Right to the point where, you know, his own father is capable of doing horrible things and not even really thinking very much about it. You know, he worries a little bit about it, but then after it's over, it's just like, you know,
It's
just kind of wipe your hands of it.
I mean, it's that, you know. And getting back to what we were saying earlier, when people are, and there's a reason I'm saying this, people who are no longer useful because of aging process, they get put in a care center. They get put, you know, nursing homes, facilities like that, that are supposed to help you, but, you know, and the reason I'm going back to that is because I mean, there's a personal story behind it. I'm not going to go into it, but the one that I was dealing with my grandmother, I wanted to call the board of medical directors and say, hey, by the way, you know, anyway, like I'm saying, we need to say to each other, hey, I appreciate what you do. You know, let's, like, you're a worker, give me 10 seconds on the clock, ready, go. I'm a supervisor, I have 12 employees. I appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a great job. I want to see a little bit more from you, but I still like the fact that you come to work early. You, great job, keep up those inventory. You, like I said with him, want to see a little bit more, but keep it up, man, okay? Compliment people, let them appreciate them. They'll want to come and do.
I do think that
Leadership.
I think that positive incentive is always a good thing, which, connected to this, I feel that sense of positive actions equaling positive consequences is still something that should be looked at. Usually negative actions equaling negative consequences are...
Why were you late today? What's wrong with you? Why are these donuts not the way I want them? Okay, here you go. And I've done that before.
But
Sorry.
granted, there's this whole something that should be looked at is the giver before Jonas. Her name was Rose, or she went crazy after being stored with enough memories. I think there were some that just went over the line for her, and she became some kind of rebel, or just...
Well, the other thing that's interesting is that, and I haven't read any of them, but Lowry has written a few other books that kind of, that aren't necessarily like direct sequels to The Giver, but like also exist in the same world. I don't know if any of the books follow Rose's story or not. I don't think they do. But it is kind of interesting to get I haven't read any of them, but I know some folks who have, and they say they get a wider view of the society.
I don't know if any of the other characters carry over.
I don't think they do. I think.
Any final thoughts?
One of the things that I was thinking of, you mentioned before, because my first reading about this book was kind of about, like the wider themes about, like equality of opportunity versus equality as sameness, things like that. But then what you brought up with this whole idea of like envy and personal jealousy is something that I guess I kind of realized was in the book, but didn't think about that theme itself. And just talking about other things in the book, I realized how much detail Lowry put into this novel and some of the specific things that happen in it. I think it's, the more we've talked about it, the more I have a better appreciation for some of the particular things she did. Even though there are other things that I've read in this book and I was just like, okay, like here's a plot hole that I don't get, X, Y, Z. But there are other things that I think she paid really special attention to. So that's,
Yeah, it's kind of a strange case, right? Because it's like,
My doctor
I
said
mean,
that.
things happen that, don't happen, right? Like, I can't put my hands on somebody and transmit my memories. It's like, that's not realistic at
You want to
all.
try it? Just kidding.
So that part of the book was kind of like, just took me out of it. It's like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? That's not part of humanity. Or if the giver dies and all the memories go back to the people somehow through the air, I guess, stuff like that.
it's very, that's one of the things that I also don't get. I'm kind of like, okay, I'm just going to assume that this is like super far in the future, and so sci-fi, whatever, so you can do things. But then I'm just like, okay, but so you have to transfer the memories from one person to the other, but if this person dies, instead of them dying with them, they go to everybody? Like, I don't get that. That doesn't make sense to me. Wouldn't they just die with that person? But whatever, what do I know? Perfectly,
I think this world it's a very haunting world because it can very possibly happen minus someone that can transmit memories through rubbing them onto someone else. There's somebody that can possess memories like they are a human library, but that they may even deny people of that because I don't think a world would be, I don't think a dystopia of this nature would be friendly enough to put something like that together.
Yeah, that's the other thing, I think, too. I'm like, is the only reason that someone keeps these memories, not just because I think they're kind of valuable, but also because if no one holds to them, they go to everybody. So it's just like, we have to find one person to hold them, as opposed to, like you said, this society, in my opinion, would probably rather be like, no one's going to have these memories. We're just going to completely forget them.
Yeah, that's very, not only is it possible, but this dystopian, they would alter the circumstances of events. They'll alter the history, like you could see in Fahrenheit 451, like what could potentially happen in The Handmaid's Tale. And I think that is,
It's a constant theme in dystopian thing where you rewrite history. Yeah.
I mean, this book, I'm not a huge, I really don't like the Divergent series personally, but I did read the first of that series and I saw a lot of similarities to this particular book. I mean, like you said, I think there's similarities in all dystopian fiction, but specifically as one YA, like dystopia, to another, I saw a lot of similarities in those two specifically.
And I also feel that we need to, I think the greatest warning we can take is to appreciate what it is we have.
Exactly.
And just take a positive approach to creating a better world for ourselves, because it's the
And our future.
self-satisfaction.
Our future.
Yeah, definitely our future too.
Okay.
And also to just keep an eye on our, our political world. Don't immerse yourself in it, but
Shut the TV
find the
off.
people that you feel are going to be that are going to serve you as opposed to the other way around, as best as possible.
And I think appreciating difference as opposed to saying difference is bad is also important. Because it's another thing I think that this book comes with. It's like, oh, difference is bad, so we have to equalize everybody. But in reality, a lot of the beauty of our world and of like humans and human nature, I guess, and stuff, is the differences between each of us.
And also, I think the other thing that this book kind of brings to the forefront is the idea of the importance of knowing our history. Right, to kind of know where you're going, you got to kind of know where you came from. So I think keeping your historical perspective on things is important, and having an appreciation for that can definitely enrich your life. So I think it's important to study.
And like I was going to say, turn off the TV, turn off the social media, say, hey, I'm going for a walk today, or I'm going to go out, and I'm going to just get away from it for a little bit, and take a mini vacation. I mean, I know sometimes we're all working, but we can have at least 12 or 15 minutes away from I call it the idiot box, or the teacher, just, get away from it and say, enough.
You can bring a book too if you want.
Yeah, read a book. That's a
All right.
great idea.
Time to rate.
I need a cookie.
Scale of 0 to 5, half stars permitted. What would you give it, Larry?
I go 2.5 stars.
Oh, 2.5. What was it that you felt was mediocre?
Well, like I said, just that like the people aren't really even human anymore. I guess like the way that they transmit memories and all. It really took me out of it. It really did. Like I think the book has some important ideas that it talks about, but in the fact that it's so kind of unrealistic, I don't know if it's like as deep as it could be.
Austin?
I'm gonna go with like 3.5. I was thinking about 4. I think it's a good book. I think it presents a lot of great things. I also feel like it's a little bit overrated. I think everyone reads it and they're like, oh, it's so good. And I'm like, it's okay. But I also didn't want to read it poorly because I hated it so much the first time I read it. And I don't think it's poorly written. So I was like, if I hate a book this much and it's not because it's like poorly written, I think that says something about it, possibly. I don't know. So 3.5.
I'm going to give it a 4. We cherish each other here, our differences. I'm giving it a 4 only because I was able to read it in a course of maybe 4 hours, 5.5 hours tops. Couldn't put the book down, but then I realized to myself, we're living in this kind of society. Not as bad as in this dystopian, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. So I couldn't put the book down. So being that it kept me in every book should do, or everything keep you engaged, questioning. I'm like, what if this happens? Oh, it already did. Okay, but it made me question what's going on in the world today. And I read that book. Actually, I read that book about maybe 2 years ago, and it's all still up here. 90% of it's still up here, and I still remember. Like, oh boy, but great book. I mean, like I said, sad, but I would give it 4 stars because I could not put it down.
I give it 5 stars. I think that it was I think that it was brilliant in the way that it was a cold but well-developed wake-up call. I feel that, I think that Larry's saying that it's unrealistic. I think that there are elements that are a bit,
I'm not
saying magical realism,
like rubbing their back, and getting
I
memories.
think that I can definitely see a world of this nature where people are assigned tasks and they're told what they're going to do with their lives and have it so micromanaged.
And it's happening.
And I can see that people, because of a drastic population increase, they're going to go after people that they find as not a productive contribution and euthanize them. Because euthanasia is going to be something that takes form as the future pops up, unless the Supreme Court is able to hold off on it for quite a period of time. I think we're heading in that direction. But politics aside, I feel that this novel is just so. I think it really it got under my skin, and I feel that
It did to me.
it's definitely something that is worth reading. I think that how old you are when you read it has a great impact because people read it in middle school, people read it in high school. I didn't read it until I was 21. And I think that as you get older, you develop a greater understanding. If you're interested in picking up this novel, here is a copy of the most familiar version. You can find that in just about any bookstore that sells
I think I can see that.
great number of books. This first crossed my attention in middle school, but I didn't have an interest in reading it until it was assigned to me in college, and now I'm really happy that I've read it.
It's a great book. Makes you think. That's why.
Be sure to join us next time for another episode of Gladiators. For now, Keep reading.
And love your loved ones, you know, cherish them.